Midlands Today with David Hollywoods. Midlands 103.
Plans are afoot to use the moon as a stepping stone to see how humans can live on the surface of another planet. Yeah, because how we've gone on this one has gone so well. We'll be digging into all of that very shortly. First though, let's have a look at what's going on maybe off this planet, outside the world. Shawnee Morris from the Midlands Astronomy Club, how are you keeping?
Good morning, David. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good stuff. We've got 13 full moons in 2026. How typical is that?
It's not too typical, and even more so because when you think the moon does take 28 days in order to complete one of its orbits around Earth. So in a calendar year, when we have 13, that means one of our months has got a second full moon.
Aha.
That's going to be May. And this is where the phrase, once in a blue moon, comes from. So May is going to have a second full moon. That's the blue moon. Considering that how rare it is, that's where the phrase comes from, as to something that's rare and not so unique or is difficult to come by.
Okay, I was today years old when I found out where once in a blue moon comes from. You're already educating me. This is a great start. These names for moons that I'm looking through, I've got a list. The wolf moon in January, you've got the snow moon in February, the worm moon is
worm
in March.
Moon in March.
Where do we get these remarkable names from?
They usually come from different cultures, kind of an amalgamation of Celtic or Native American cultures, some from Norse countries in Scandinavia, and it's just how popular culture begins to pool all these together in order to generate interest. Your typical other full moons, like the harvest moon for September. It would have another name too. I can't remember what it is. You might see it from your list there, but the harvest moon being the full moon that comes after the autumn equinox on September 22nd.
The corn moon.
The corn moon, that's right. And that's where just the light of a full moon allows workers pre-electricity to work that little bit longer in the fields as they collect their harvest prior to the onset of proper autumn and into winter. So the harvest moon just has that extra name for that full moon, the corn moon in September.
Okay, and look, I mean, ultimately, this thing that we're talking about looks different from all different perspectives across the globe before you even involve the historic cultures that build up our reference structure for talking about these type of things. Let's talk about going back to the moon. It looks like plans have been long afoot, obviously, but we're actually potentially going to get boots on the ground on the lunar surface over the course of the next 12 months, I understand.
That's true. We have a very important launch, if all goes according to plan, on the 6th of February with Artemis 2. Artemis 2 is the first time since 1972 that we've been able to send humans to the moon. Now, it won't be a landing mission. It'll be a flyby mission where it'll go out, test all the systems, come back again and land. It'll take about 10 days for the entire mission. That goes according to plan, and if NASA's contract with SpaceX works for the Starship, that'll actually bring Artemis 3 to the moon. That is hoped for nearly this time next year, 2027. Now, originally it was going to be 2028 with NASA's own space launch system, but it has a little bit of delays in being properly equipped and ready. So Elon Musk has stepped in with SpaceX to say, we'll give you a loan of Starship, get the astronauts to the moon, and we'll have, even for our new generation of those of us who weren't around in 1969 to 1972, to now see a human walk on the moon again. And an amazing feat will be that one of them will be a woman and one of them will be a person of colour.
High time as well in so many regards in relation to what you're saying there. Do you think then that aside from bridging that near 50 odd year gap, there's a purpose behind what we're doing here? This isn't just about putting people back on the moon for a visit. It's about maybe creating some sort of infrastructure or experimenting with the idea of infrastructure.
You are correct. We know that there are parts of the moon, especially around the South Pole, that has water ice. And this is where potential habitable areas, or biodomes as they've often been referred to as well, will be able to have a source of water for both fuel and sustaining life, that we can set up bases on the moon, and these may be a precursor to how we can then leap from the moon rather than Earth with a manned mission to Mars in the future, that we'll see even humans, maybe within our lifetime, you and I, David, that we'll see someone walk on the red planet.
That's a gift in and of itself, Shawnee. I know you're so passionate about astronomy. For your whole life, you would have been waiting for stuff like this to happen.
That's true. I mean, I grew up reading the stories about how Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin got there. As an adult, I read into the technicalities of how the moon missions became a success, the dangers, some of the frailties. I mean, it wasn't without hazards and even accidental deaths. You know, posthumously, Apollo 1, the famous fire where they were testing the systems on the launch pad. And unfortunately, 3 NASA astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White and Roger Chaffee, perished in a fire on the launch pad. And it was just a training exercise. But they learned from those mistakes to make the Apollo module better. So by the time 1967 came along with the first manned launch of Apollo, and then the landing in 1969, everything, apart from maybe Apollo 13, as we know from pop culture with the movie, that was an accurate representation of a near failure, but still learning again from that potential failure, what to change for subsequent missions. So what we're having with Artemis 2 and 3, it's all about standing on the shoulders of giants before them with the Apollo missions. Okay,
well, I think it's good news for humanity, wonderful news for Shawnee Mars. Shawnee, thanks so much for your time.
A pleasure. Thank you, David.
Okay, from the moon to Mars, we can look forward to that over the next couple of years. We're going from Midlands Today to the afternoon show.
Midlands 103.